So guys, it's time for a new devlog and I want to share something with you or the current state. And as you might have seen in my last devlog, noticed I'm currently trying to move on to the next TTToolbox version, which will be a paid version, because here I have to spend a lot of effort to get it working, the use cases I need for ControlRig. Otherwise, it's not so convenient to work with, and I did not like the workflow. We will cover this in a few seconds, what I liked and what I did not like and so on. But yeah, at first, let me show you how I worked with TwinBlast to get the poses working for ALS. So basically I clicked here on the controls and then I was able to move it around with the forward. It's currently for forward kinematics selected. And then I was able to fix the poses basically. Also created a new one. If you want to check it out, I've not seen it or watched it yet, the video is linked in the description below, so that you can see how the TwinBlast moves basically with a fixed overlay state for ALS. So yeah, I really like that I did not have to leave Unreal Engine and I could do everything here and get the IK bones working and so on. I was so happy that I don't have had to deal with the import and export settings of Blender or Maya, or also have to create ControlRig from scratch, because I was able to use the one from Raya, from Lyra, and it worked out of the box with TwinBlast. I was so happy, really. But I really did not like how I have to select those controls, because I have always to scroll down here and select the right one, or I can search for the names like head. So I said yes, then you click the head, then right click here and move on and so on. And then basically I was able to animate TwinBlast, but it was so much effort. Also, or you could click here and use the names from here if you use the FK animations, right? Or FK controls. Yeah, so that's not how animators hopefully will have to work with ControlRig and Unreal Engine. And I did some research and found out, oh, there's a picker UI for MetaHumans. If you go here, common, MetaHumans, common, utilities, and then here's this widget, editor widget. So you have to click, right click, and then run editor widget, and then you get, or then this UI will open, and I said, oh, that's amazing. It looks like the A.R.T tool from Maya. So I thought, Epic did a great job and ported it over to fully in Unreal Engine, so we can here do our stuff, because normally this plugin is deprecated and you might have some fun to get it working with the latest Maya version, because the Python version is not updated. I tried it once and it was it kind of works, but also kind of not. So I decided then this one is great. But somehow at first I thought, nothing is happening. What is wrong here? And I said, oh, there's Actor none. Okay. Here is TwinBlast. So I selected TwinBlast, and then it magically worked. I said, yes, that's amazing. It's made from MetaHumans, but it still works with this layer rig. I said, yes, that's great. But I find it really annoying to have here to click on the update button. Then it deselects the ControlRig which you have already selected and so on. I said, yes, that's not very convenient, and I had not fun with it. Also, you cannot select multiple controls. There's no shift or control, so you can only select one. And sometimes you need both hands if you work, or if you want to move them up a little bit, and also the weapon a little bit and so on. I said, that's not how animators should work with it, or I thought, or my assumption was, that's not how animators work with it. It's just that's confusing. How do they work in expert tools like in Maya or in Blender? So there should be a more convenient workflow. And I also did not like that, or find it confusing that those buttons here are gray as well, and we don't have the root here. The font is not in the middle, so it's very hard to read. And those chose didn't work with TwinBlast as well. There's no error message, so I was very confused. And yeah, then decided to rework this UI. But there's so much stuff hard-coded that I said, if I have to migrate this UI to a different skeleton, it's so much work. And I said, seems to be RM, you need to develop it from scratch, how you like it and how and make it scalable. And then also the IK bones don't work with this UI. The virtual bones get messed up, and you cannot animate, for example, the gun bone. There's no control here, so I still have to go back here and select it here in the sequences. So I thought, yes, close it, use the concepts, try to learn how this stuff works, and rework it on your own. And as I said, I did some research as well for Maya, and I found a very nice, really a very nice, convenient tool for Maya as well. It's called Advanced Skeleton. And here's also the video if you want to check it out. It's not an advertisement, but I really like the workflow. It's also a paid plugin. I think it's, I don't remember the price, but it was quite expensive. And sure, I still have to use Maya and learn how to use Maya to animate my characters, but I still want to do it in Unreal Engine. So I thought, yes, I really like this UI and the feature of it. I try to make it work in Unreal Engine. For example, one feature I really like is if you click here, then we select basically the control, and also press the control button, then we can select a second one. Like the one I have said before, we should be able to select multiple ones. And also we should see in the UI as well which controls are selected. So basically the upper arm L FK control and the lower arm L FK control, that should be visible. But in the MetaHuman UI, it's not visible. So if we open this one again, you see if I click here on the head, it still does not work if you don't select this one. So there's no feedback. So that's not a good user experience for me. I cannot work with this one. And also, as you have seen here, also you need to manually select always the rig. So I thought, that's not how I want to work. If I open the sequencer and the UI is still open, so for example, if I do a right click and edit the animation at the level sequence, or the shortcut I use all the time is Control E, or what you can do if you don't know the shortcuts, you can also click here on level sequence, and then you see the UI also tells us already there's no control again available. I said, yes, thank you. That's how it should work. And if you open it, it automatically selects the first one, which is present in this level sequence. So yes, that's how I want to work with it. And also you can also, if we have multiple ones, we can later select them here, and it should save the state, not lose the state. And let me also show you another feature. So what I saw in this advanced skeleton video is that we can select multiple controls with a selection box. So basically, if I press the left mouse button here and then drag this here over, you see that we select, that's also very annoying from Unreal Engine, the first time you open a level sequence and you select the control, it basically updates the UI and gets to the animation tab. I don't know why. If you know how I can disable it, I would be so happy, guys, really. Also, it also moves on to animation details, but I still want to use the sequence, not animation details, Epic. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe it's a wrong setting, and I don't want to blame Epic, but it's very confusing if you do it once. And yeah, as you see, I really lost the focus, the red line. So I was talking about the selection box. So if we select this button here, then we can select the control which are in this bounding box basically. Or if we click again, it will deselect the control. Or if we search here for a gun as well, that's also working already. As you see here, then it updates the UI. So we always see the state of the controls which are selected in this UI as well. That's so much better in my view. Also here you can search for a gun and then click here again and upstates. If you click here, deselects the button as well, or simply if you click on the button as well, that's also working. And if we move the mouse away, then you see that it's still selected. If we move the mouse here, and you see the colors are changing to show us you will deselect this control before it was selected. So yeah, and we also talked about hard-coded stuff. That's also some stuff I also hard-coded, like the one, if we open this here, we want to edit it. So here's the blueprint. I hard-coded the where is it? The array here basically, because what I really liked at the UI which we get from the MetaHumans download is that we have buttons which have the same name like the controls in the ControlRig, and then we can still use the string here, like in this array here, and call, for example, this event, this here. If you click on the button, it will get called, then we hand over the button basically to this function, and then it will select the control from the ControlRig, like here. So we give here the name. So here we have get display name, and we convert this to a, I think it's a string, right? Oh no, it's a name, f name. And then we call this node here and say target is ControlRig, and we say select control, and then we just check this checkbox here, and then it selects the stuff for us. That's very convenient. And the other stuff here is for handling the states, which I will not cover in detail. But yeah, I really like this workflow, or this structure, because it basically gives us the possibility that we create buttons with the same names, and later then, yeah, we call the function with the right name and select the control basically. And as I said before, I want to make this UI scalable so that we basically have a framework where we can quickly create those UIs for our control rigs. So if you have different control names, we can just search for this picker button here. That's the one I created with TTToolbox as well. So if we go here in this widget folder, you can open this one here, and then you can specify the style, for example, for hovered and normal. So you can select those colors here, and it will then automatically handle for us. I will show you the code in a few seconds. The highlighted and unhighlighted state. It's done very easily if you know how to. But I found this idea in the forum, so sometimes you can find that they are very nice concepts. So basically we derive from this U button. That's the one which is normally used in UMG, and it has the slate widget as well. UMG is just a wrapper for slate. And then we have this method here on widget rebuild, and here we store locally the hovered and normal style. And if you call this method set highlighted, you set a boolean to true, of course, to cover the state of the button, and then you call this update style. It's a private method, and yeah, there's also options that it can disable this visually representation but still use the state here. And then we get the widget style. Widget style is something that is stored in this U button class, which is also exposed to blueprints. You could still implement this function also fully in blueprints if you want, but I decided to do it in C++ because it's just a few lines of code. And then if the state is true, we just change the styles. Basically normal gets into hovered, and normal will get the hovered style which we saved here above. And that's a very nice node later, because we then can just call those nodes or those functions in blueprints and script and move on and so on. It's very convenient. And also, as I said here in the graph, so if we go back here to picker, we are creating this array here to cover the names of the, or to cover the buttons of the controls from the UI, which we can click on and select and so on. And yeah, that's also a reason why I decided to not use the MetaHuman UI, because there's so much stuff hard coded, and if we have to move on or to move over and adapt this all the time, if we have a new skeleton, it would make me crazy, because as you might have seen, I work with a lot of characters, with the Maximo, with TwinBlast, with UE5 mannequin, with UE4 mannequin, later also with metahumans, maybe some custom characters later and so on, and then I will have a lot of UIs which I still have to maintain, and that's a lot of work. I want to have a framework basically, or some convenient API to very quickly create those UIs. And for that, I did a proof of concept to basically get the list here from those widgets. And this you can do very easily if you have, or if you listen carefully to me now, because that's very easy if you know how to work this. It's sadly not exposed to blueprints, but in C++ you can do it very easily. Oh, I was way too quick. So basically we create a new class as well and derive it from uEditor widget, uEditor utility widget. That's the one we can use for custom UIs in the editor, or as you see here, it would also work with every user widget, which is the base class for all the widgets we have in UMG. And there we have this, if we go back and go to the C++ implementation, there we have this variable here, it's called widget tree. And this widget tree is basically a pointer, and you can query stuff. For example, what I did is I used the for each method and the lambda, which gets a new widget as argument, and then I did for safety checked if the widget is still valid, and then we can do stuff. So here I printed the name to the console, which is this function here, and then I did some calculations to basically get the local position of the widget in the UI or in the window. That's how I can do it. So you say get cached geometry absolute to local, and then you use the widget, which you get here from the lambda, and also get cached geometry and call get absolute position, and then you can translate this basically. And then you should see the same coordinates like we have set in the editor or this designer tab from UMG, because basically those ones here, position X and Y and size X and Y. And as I said, this was just a test, so I introduced a button here and said, yeah, I just want to call this method. And if we go back to the UI and open the log and also clear it as well, and click here on this button, we will see a very similar list here, like we have in the designer tab. So we should also see those nouns. So it's canvas underscore panel 1 underscore 0, and later on we will also see our controls. That's the one we are interested in, because this will allow us, or allow me, to avoid the array here, because I can do this full in C++ and don't have to hard code this here anymore. That's way better, because normally you click here and say, yeah, I have a new variable, for example, I don't know, this one here, get, and then connect this one, and I really hate those tasks, to be honest, really. That's why I trying to make it more scalable and provide some API which you can then use in your custom UIs if you have a different skeleton as well. So you should be able to create very quickly those UIs as well. For me, this one here, because I'm not very experienced with UMG, it took 30 minutes or so to get this layout and do this all manually. So you have to select here the on-clicked event, then you need to call this function because we have this name here from the widget, hand it over, and so on. And that's stuff I want to provide for you guys, and yeah, hopefully make it more scalable for us so that we can create those UIs quicker, because I think it will really improve the workflow if we have such features that we can select multiple ones and also use this checker or this selection box here. What I will also introduce is features for IK bounds, virtual bounds, that we can bake the animation sequence directly into the sequence or link them basically to the sequence which is used by ALS or your animation system. And yeah, then you can edit the animations during playtime here with this level sequence, save it, and then play again with your character. It's very nice. Very nice workflow. It's super fast. You can iterate very quickly with this one. I tried it already. And also some features like here that we can animate the gun. That's also working already. So here we align the IK bounds directly to the right hand. And if you click here, you can move it freely around and rotate it and so on. And then if you press the enter key, it will key the bone basically in the sequencer, and you should be happy to work with it. Yeah, that's the stuff I'm currently working on, and I hopefully can share more in the future so that you know what is going on, and hopefully soon as well. I don't know when yet, because this is a lot of work to get the UI properly working with all states. As you see here, it's still not doing the stuff I want, so it does not deselect the one. I'm still working here on stuff, but in the end I will make a very proper test and hopefully can provide you a stable version, and you will be faster than before and can also create your custom UIs very quickly. So that's getting quite long already. I say now goodbye and see you in the next devlog, hopefully.